Welcome to the Chemistry Lab. This video will provide you with several demonstrations so that you can have a sense of good laboratory practices to help you have a successful semester. As you enter the lab in your appropriate attire, place your personal items in the assigned area. Your PPE, such as your lab coat and goggles, will be put on at a designated time. A lab notebook with copies that either contain carbon or are carbonless, like in this example, is required. You should label the cover of the notebook with your name prior to coming to lab. You'll find a copy protector that usually displays the periodic table and may be attached or detachable. The purpose of this protector is to place it behind each copy sheet to prevent writing that you do on the top from bleeding through the rest of the notebook. And this allows you to save your work if we were to request that you submit your handwritten data by tearing out the copy sheets. Pencil is not allowed in a lab notebook. Instead, blue or black ink should be used. Here you can see an example of a pre-lab notebook entry that features the headings, purpose, bulleted procedures, space for modifications as well as observations, and the data sheets. Next, I'll introduce common glassware that you'll encounter. Note that in many cases, a variety of sizes are available, but not all options will be shown in this video. First up are beakers. They're beakers because of the beak that allows for easy pouring. Now we have an Erlenmeyer flask that is great for mixing and swirling. You'll notice that there are several labels on the side of this particular flask that even cover the graduations. While labels are always encouraged, it's also important to place them correctly, which means not covering the markings, and to remove them during the cleanup process. Here are graduated cylinders. They also have a beak to easily dispense the measured liquid. Last is an alcohol thermometer used to measure temperature by placing the bulb in the substance to be monitored.
To the organic chemistry labs. It's very important that you know where everything is located, so when you first come in, there's going to be two of you working as a group underneath the hood. You have your own student drawer that's marked that says like student 7 where I am now, and when you open that drawer you're going to see a box. It may be orange or it may be blue, but the contents inside of it are going to be the exact same. Those contents are located right here, laid out underneath the hood. Some of the items may not directly be in the actual container, but they may be throughout the lab. You have your column. No, it's not a burette, so just make sure that you can tell the difference. This has no actual markings on the column. You have your 125 milliliter separatory funnel. You have your vacuum adapter. That's the one that has a little elbow of an arm. A distillation adapter that kind of looks like a little K. Your Buchner funnel, now it comes in two, so you have your top and your bottom. You need both of them. You have your glass stopper that's normally used for your 125 milliliter separatory funnel. Now sometimes these may not always be the same size, so make sure you find the right size for your separatory funnel. You have a variety of round bottom flasks starting from 25 milliliters all the way up to 250 or even 500. It's important that when you're in the lab to place them on your cork ring, which is located in this wonderful drawer that has not only your clamps, this is your shared items area between you and whomever is using the hood. You'll have your cork ring, your Keck clamps, which are these small clamps that we will use later on in the semester. You have your ring clamps, and you have your normal clamps that we use to secure things throughout the semester. Then you also have your distillation column, which is long. Now there are different sizes, some that are skinny and some that are a little bit thicker. As long as you have one underneath your hood, you will be more than fine. You now have your thermometer and your thermometer adapter. So both of these are separate entities where you have to just take your time when putting this in to make sure that you don't damage the thermometer or yourself. So just be very careful. Throughout the semester, what's different from Gen Chem is we do not use the plastic pipettes. We use glass pipettes, and they're very long and fragile, so be very careful. You'll see that there's bulbs that are located on the middle desk where you can place them on top in order to suction any liquid that you would need. Now we have something that's really big and really heavy. This is called your Variac. Now there's two types. This one actually has the marks where you can go ahead and see or set your temperature regulations. And then you'll have another one that's located underneath your shared items drawer where you'll find your hot plate and another style of heating mantle. Now this one can be plugged directly into your hood, and there is going to be a regulator right next to it where you can control it directly. So as we go on throughout the semester, myself or one of your instructors will tell you which is the best way for you to move forward. Also underneath your hood, that shared item hood, it's now going to be your responsibility, you and your partner, to make sure that you refill your DI water bottle at the end of each class period, as well as your acetone bottle.
Balances are frequently used to weigh solid samples. It is very important that they are never moved and always kept clean. In this instance, spills were present on the balance pan and digital screen. Windshields on the sides and top can be opened to access the balance. I'm taking a brush provided in the blue bin to gently clean the balance pan and the base of the balance. I then use the brush to clean the screen. The removed solid can be left on the blue bench underpad as they will routinely be changed by lab support staff. After cleaning, we'll begin the process of weighing the sample by placing a weigh boat on the balance. The weigh boat is simply a container to hold the solid for easy measurement and transfer, but you'll notice that there's a mass associated with it. To address this, we tare, which means to set the balance to display 0 grams, so that we can easily determine the mass of our desired solid. You can see that it is easiest to avoid spills by opening the side windshields and using a scoop or spatula to introduce the sample to the weigh boat. Make sure to record all digits shown on the balance in your notebook and clean up any spills immediately. While we always avoid overshooting, sometimes we end up with excess solid. We never return solids to the stock bottle once removed. Any excess solid can be placed in a labeled weigh boat and offered to another group in your section. If no one can use the sample, it can safely be discarded based on your instructor's guidance. While in the process of measuring an unknown liquid, a spill was identified. It's very important to consult your instructor on the safest way to clean up a spill, especially when the identity of the chemical is unknown. This can help us to avoid unintended reactions. After the spill has been safely taken care of, we can continue the experiment. I'm recording the unknown ID in my notebook and using a clean, labeled secondary container to more easily handle the unknown liquid while measuring. Remember, we can't pour liquid back into the stock bottle, so we can either donate the excess to another group or discard the liquid if no one else can use it. Using the secondary container, I'm pouring into the graduated cylinder until I get close to my desired measurement. To avoid overshooting, I'm using a clean transfer pipette to add the last bit of liquid dropwise. Then I'll place the pipette in the container labeled dirty and record the measured volume in my notebook. To use a hot plate, first plug in the cable, making sure to avoid allowing the cord to touch the surface. Many of our hot plates also have steering capabilities that we will not need unless a magnetic stir bar is also being used. We can turn on the heat, I typically recommend a medium level, and place our substance to be heated on the plate. If boiling stones are necessary, use only 1 or 2. To avoid burning our skin after using the hot plate, you never want to use the nitrile gloves to directly touch the hot glassware. Instead, put on heat gloves so that you can remove the glassware and place it on a heating pad. Turn off the hot plate, unplug it, and make sure that the cord is away from the surface. Your instructor will advise you on how solid waste should be discarded. In most cases, solid waste will be placed into one of the hazardous waste containers in the hood. Note that there is more than one solid waste container, and special attention has to be paid to avoid unintended reactions. Used weigh boats should be thrown in the trash. Your instructor will also advise you on how liquid waste should be discarded. Liquid waste containers have funnels with lids that must remain closed when not actively in use. Before you pour, ensure that the waste level is not too high. If it is, alert your instructor immediately. Pour the liquid into the funnel and close the lid immediately after use.
Once the end of the lab period is over, you'll have sufficient amount of time for cleaning. Please make note to your instructor when that announcement is made that you start cleaning. All of your glassware that's located in your box that I showed you earlier will need to be rinsed with acetone. All your glassware should be rinsed with acetone and not washed with regular soap and water. So when you rinse your glassware, put just enough, it doesn't have to be a lot, but swirl whatever glassware that you're using. Make sure that you get all the sides, as many as possible, and I would suggest you getting a waste beaker, and you could label that just to dump that in there. Now I would repeat that same thing about 2 or 3 times just to ensure that everything is clean, and then later on you will go to the appropriate satellite area and you will discard of the remaining waste. Now that you've done cleaning all of your glassware with your acetone bottle, you'll place your acetone bottle right back underneath the hood next to your wash bottle. Now, once you're done with your clean glassware, I want you to take 2 pieces of paper towels and lay them out, and then you'll proceed to leave your glassware right inside of the hood on top of it. This way, it will make it easier for the next class to come in, inspect your glassware, and see if everything's clean. Be sure to clean your items. You wouldn't want someone to leave dirty items for you. So please make sure you go through, you clean and lay everything out efficiently, and then we can continue lab with the safest protocols.
To clean up your bench, you should use a wet sponge and detergent to wipe the bench top. Then rinse the sponge and follow up with a water rinse. Students will also be assigned to a common area to clean before they check out. Once you're done cleaning up, ensure that both you and your lab partner have all data, and check out from the lab by bringing your notebook to be signed by your instructor.